Hey, folks, and welcome to part two of my reaction to the Sam Darnold trade. Geoff Magliochetti here from Jets X Factor and Empire Sports Media. And part one focused on the personal effect the trade has on Sam Darnold and what it'll do for his NFL career. So for part two, I'm going to take a look at how this affects the New York Jets as a whole as they move forward into a new future, sans Sam. Now, to state the obvious, this obviously means that the Jets are going to, choose a quarterback with the number two spot unless they, for whatever reason, feel like going into a new year with Mike White playing quarterback for them. White, of course, being a fifth-round pick of the Dallas Cowboys a couple years back, has yet to have an NFL pass to his name, so doubt they'll be doing that. So it appears that they've done their due diligence on these quarterbacks. Of course, the leadership triumvirate of Joe Douglas, Mike LaFleur, and head coach Robert Saleh, LaFleur being the offensive coordinator and Douglas being the general manager, of course. They all went to Zach Wilson's pro day up in Provo, representing BYU. And, of course, Justin Fields is also slated to go in the upper portions of the draft, possibly to the third overall pick in San Francisco, of course, traded with Miami, who, of course, traded with Houston. So it appears we might have three quarterbacks go top three in the NFL draft in Trevor Lawrence, Wilson, and Fields. Lawrence, of course, probably going number 1 to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Urban Meyer more or less confirmed as much in an interview with Peter King of NBC Sports. So, should be interesting what happens moving forward, but this more or less does confirm that the Jets plan to use that top pick or the number 2 pick anyway, their top pick on a quarterback. Now, it's interesting what the Jets were doing because there was some hope for redemption with Sam Darnold because, it would have been interesting to see him get a new opportunity in a Jets uniform under a different coaching staff. Because, again, I think I mentioned in the last video that one of the things we love to do, we as a football-loving public love to do, is play the game of what if. And the big question is, what if the Jets hired anyone, other than Adam Gase, to oversee the developmental years of Sam Darnold? And, it's just unfortunate that this is the way it ends, but it's good for Darnold as a personal level, as I covered in the last video. But at the same time, the Jets are off solving yet another quarterback quandary. But the good part is that they have decided to make April 29th the deadline for when this latest quarterback quandary ends, because the last thing the Jets needed to do was go 4 months into speculation. Who's going to start, Sam Darnold or Zach Wilson? Who's going to start, Sam Darnold or Justin Fields? The Jets did not need that. When there is a potential light at the end of this proverbial tunnel of perpetual rebuilding, you have to go through it as controversy-free as possible. And that's what the Jets are doing with this trade, by getting rid of Darnold. A rookie quarterback and Sam Darnold could not coexist in the same environment. We're getting, I believe Josh McCown actually suggested it recently. He felt that Sam should embrace this process a little bit and help the Jets with the development of a rookie quarterback, in the sense that, maybe there could be a competition, or maybe Darnold could win his job back and the Jets would trade said rookie quarterback for something else. Heck, maybe even more picks. But here's the thing. Here's what's wrong with that. We're going to be welcoming back fans into MetLife Stadium. How many get in is to be determined. But we've seen it throughout the tri-state area. We've seen it at Yankee Stadium. We've seen it at Madison Square Garden. I don't think we've seen it at Citi Field just yet. We haven't, because the Mets games have been postponed. But, we've seen, fans make their presence felt. I feel like we've seen it at Prudential Center too, and Nassau Coliseum. A little biased as Yankees and Rangers fans, so excuse me. So I feel that this is, I feel like Metropolitan fans have done a very good job of making their presence felt in limited numbers. And I think that the last thing Sam Darnold and the Jets needed was, for every time that he threw an incompletion, for fans to be calling for his head and begging for the insertion of Zach Wilson. So this is good. So this is kind of going back to what I was talking about in the last video, and how this is a good trade for Sam Darnold on a personal level. This is good for the Jets as a whole, because, the mere concept of, quote unquote, LOL Jets seems to get clicks in today's society. And the Schneider crowd over on social media, taking pleasure in another team's, bloopers, in another team's lack of good luck anyway. everyone seems to, particularly revel in it when it comes to the New York Jets, because not only do the Jets have to lose, they often do so in the most ridiculous, the most spectacular fashion. And is it sophomoric? Sure. I mean, just look at the reaction when Darnold had mononucleosis, and but it is what it is. And the Jets have avoided that situation. The Jets have, made sure that the wee hours of April 29th, the first round of the NFL draft, are going to be when this quarterback controversy ends. Now, should they go out and get themselves another quarterback as a backup? Yeah, definitely. I think so, but that's a subject for another day. What Joe Douglas, I'm pleased to see, was able to do with this trade, he got himself 3 picks, one of which is a second rounder in 2022. Now, I was surprised that, they were able to get a second round pick for Sam Darnold, because while it's amazing that Darnold was able to have these fleeting flashes of brilliance in a Jets uniform, despite endless amount of turnover, despite endless amounts of, controversy and turmoil, did he ever display the consistency that would make you go, oh yeah, he's definitely worth trading a second round pick for? I don't think so. And the fact that Douglas was able to nab this from Carolina is such a good sign on his end. Now, Douglas, has built up some draft capital for years now, and draft capital means nothing unless you are able to act on it. And I mean, look no further than the infamous Idzik dozen from a few years back, and when the Jets had 12 picks, and I don't believe any of them, and none of them were with the team at this point, and I don't believe any of them are, and a good majority of them, if not all, are out of football entirely. So it's good to see that Douglas has built himself some draft capital up, and he's been proven to have some good selections. Last year being his first draft, and there was going to be controversy either way for Joe Douglas with the 11th overall pick last year. If he picked Mekhi Becton, which he did, there was going to be controversy in the sense of, he should have taken a name. There was controversy in the sense he should have taken a name brand receiving talent available to him at the time. A CeeDee Lamb, a Jerry Jeudy, a Justin Jefferson, of course, won the NFL's Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year award this year. And if he didn't take Mekhi Becton, there'd be, the Jets need blocking. You need blocking for Sam, which they still do, by the way, which I was actually in the camp that the Jets should have used a second round pick on a blocker like, say, Penei Sewell, for example, but they opted to. But now it's more or less confirmed that they're going to be using it as on a quarterback now, and which is fine for them. But they better start addressing this offensive line further, because Dan Feeney is not going to be the make or break difference for this team on the offensive line, because I felt that offensive line was going to be a much bigger area of need for this team than quarterback ever was, because no matter who plays quarterback, he's going to need protection. And the Jets right now don't really have the adequate protection right now that's going to help these guys succeed. And, Zach Wilson has displayed flashes of mobile brilliance, and, that could play in the Jets' favor, but, remains to be seen. We'll see what happens in that regard. So the Jets still have plenty of areas to address this offseason, but it's good to see that they got this out of the way early. It's great to see that Joe Douglas continues to build his draft capital and does a great job for them. So, and what's great to see about this new Jets team is that Douglas has built a solid foundation for this new rookie quarterback to stand on, be it Wilson, be it Fields, be it anyone in this draft class. Obviously, I don't see them picking beyond Wilson or Fields. I don't see them taking, say, Kyle Trask or Mac Jones or anyone like that. And number two, whoever is starting a quarterback, though, they have a solid foundation to work with. Because you look at the current crop of receivers right now, and the top 4, in no particular order, it's going to be Corey Davis, Jamison Crowder, Keelan Cole, and Denzel Mims. Now, you have 4 guys none of whom are established number 1, I feel. Even Corey Davis, he was always behind A.J. Brown in Tennessee, and that was apparent this year, although Davis did a great job for himself and probably should have cracked 4 digits in yardage for the first time in his career last year. Unfortunately, spent some time on the COVID-19 reserve list. So it's good to see, though, that these are 4 guys who have potential to be top targets. Crowder has been by far the Jets' most potent offensive weapon over the past few seasons. And, you take a look elsewhere. You look at Cole. He's also been very reliable in the slot. And Mims, Douglas was able to get someone. He was able to have his Mekhi Becton cake and eat it too in the form of getting eat the receiver form too in the form of getting Denzel Mims, who of course is a big playmaker at Baylor. And it's going to be interesting to see what Mims can do with a full season. And I felt that it was a little bit tough on the Jets last season because I felt they really could have benefited from the preseason last year, and of course we're going to have a shortened preseason this year. But I think Robert Saleh and company are really going to benefit from having a 17th game of regular season experience to work with. It gives them an extra game to establish the culture, establish the rhythm that they're trying to create in New York, establish a new attitude that they're trying to create in New York. So that's a really interesting twist moving forward. But also, I'm really pleased that Douglas was able to get Tevin Coleman on a 1-year, $2 million contract. It's going to be a long, long time before the Jets ever spend big on a running back again, after the way the Le'Veon Bell debacle ended. But the fact that they were able to get Tevin Coleman on a very affordable deal and provide some veteran mentorship with a championship feeling, no less, bring him in and it's going to take a lot. He's a guy, by the way. He's a rusher who can not only perform on the ground but has proven to be a fantastic receiving talent as well. And he right now provides more firepower than the Jets have had over the past few years. And he's going to take a great amount of weight off the quarterback. Whoever the quarterback is, be it Wilson, be it Fields, it's not going to be Darnold anymore. But they no longer have to pull off miracles to keep the Jets in games right now, should Tevin Coleman live up to the potential he showed in Atlanta and his first season in San Francisco. So that should be interesting to keep an eye on. Now, the Jets have potential in their incumbent rushing triumvirate in Ty Johnson, in LaMichael Pirine, and Josh Adams, the latter of whom was re-signed to a new contract earlier this fall. But they didn't have the type of raw experience and the type of assurance you'd have that Coleman brings that could take some of the weight off of the new quarterback. So it's great to see that it's good to see that Joe Douglas's offseason continues to produce big gains, and we eagerly anticipate what he has in mind for the draft. Granted, the Jets still have several other major areas to take a look at. Talked about the backup quarterback. It's Mike White and James Morgan, who, of course, was taken with a 4th-round selection last year, did not dress for any games last season. And I feel they also have to address the cornerback situation as well as their kicker situation, to get out there and obviously the offensive line too. But we eagerly anticipate what Joe Douglas has in mind for the draft. And he has pulled off a trade along with Carolina and Sam Darnold, in which all three parties, in this case, the three main parties involved, the Jets, the Panthers, and Darnold, have produced a win-win-win situation. Of course, check back on this in 5 months after we have a couple games and a couple hundred downs under our belts, but we'll see. But for now, on paper, at the very least, it's good to see that this trade has yielded some good results and has both teams trending and has all three parties trending in the right direction. Thanks for checking out the 2 videos I presented today. You can follow me on Twitter at JeoffJMags, at GeoffJMags, the letter J. And stay tuned for a few more videos. Going to be doing a lot more of these in the future. You can follow my material over at Empire Sports Media as well as Jets X Factor. And I do some other work over at Nets Republic and Winsider, some work at the WNBA over there. So I invite you to check that out. And remember, follow me on Twitter at JeoffJMags, at symbol GeoffJMags. We can live chat and just converse about whatever you'd like to. And I will see you in my next vid at a date to be determined. Take care now, folks.